Hello, everybody.
4, 3, 2, kick it! Hey guys, James here once again, this time bringing you the first ever episode of Miami Let's Cast. And I thought we'd talk about E3 a little bit. Now, the show's over at this point. All the press conferences have happened. And I kind of wrote some notes down here as to what happened in these shows. We're going to go ahead and go through this game by game announcements. I'm not going to get too intricate into exactly what happened. I'm not going to be talking about like the dude came out on stage and scratched his nuts or anything like that, but we're going to get into it. So we're going to start off just in order it happened. We got the EA conference up first. Xbox went right after Bethesda, Ubisoft, and Sony. And of course, Nintendo just did their announcement. So regularly, this show's going to go up on Tuesdays, but being that it was E3, I wanted to make sure that I saw the whole thing before I recorded the first episode. So you're going to be getting this, guys, probably on Thursday or Friday of this week. So let's start off with EA. So EA typically is very, I want to say, like very orderly and like old school in the way that they do these presentations. So this time around, I think they brought it a little bit better. I'm usually very worried about what they're going to do because they're very corporate, very business-like. So they came in, they started the show with this kind of drum solo, kind of ushering in Madden 18. They talked a little bit about the story mode is called Long Shots, and it actually, for the first time, it doesn't look like just another Madden with a number at the end of it, even though it is Madden 18. But there's actually a little bit of depth here. We'll have yet to see what that story is going to look like, but it does look like, just kind of by the high level view, it does look kind of cool. After that, they went a little bit into Battlefield 1. Of course, that's their bread and butter right now. It's been very successful. There's been a lot of hype for this game, and they announced a new DLC pack. Name of the SAR. It's basically going to bring new maps, new weapons, and it's some sort of like woman kind of crew. Right after that, they go into the FIFA Championship. I'm not big on FIFA, even though we're here in Miami. There's a lot of hype with the soccer here. I particularly am not very hype. I'm more of a basketball guy myself, but they did go through their FIFA and announce their whole championship and how everything's going down. Right after that, they got into Need for Speed, man. This Need for Speed looks pretty jacked up, man. It's pretty cool. It actually looks like kind of Fast and the Furious meets kind of like the old school Need for Speed's Burnout type deal. There's a lot of cool little cinematic crashes and that sort of thing. So pretty hyped for that. And the fact that they brought out the Ford Mustang GT as their main car in this demo was pretty cool. What else? So they went into EA Originals, and this is where they brought the dude out that did Brothers Tale of Two Sons. He's bringing out his next game. It's only split co-op, local or online. It's called The Way Out. But I thought this is pretty cool because nobody else is really doing this. When people are these companies are trying to get away from these kind of local kind of experiences, this guy is bringing it. So I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to be taking a look at that game. And then they went a little bit into Project Scorpio. At that time, it hadn't been announced what the name was. We later found out that it was 1X. We'll get into that topic when we get into kind of the Xbox area of this cast. So what else? They talk about high res. They teased the new IP. It's called Anthem. I gotta admit, man, this thing looks pretty dope. They teased it here again. I'm gonna go into that in the Xbox conference section of this podcast. But right after that, they got into NBA Live 18, and they kind of talked a little bit about the controls and how they're gonna implement new ways to control your player through these sticks. It seems like an old kind of show, kind of way of doing it as well. They say it's new, but we kind of seen it before. I know that 2K's done these stick controls in the past. They got into that. They also announced a story mode similar to Long Shot in Madden. It's called The One. You're going to be able to kind of bring and level up your player, and the stats will change over from kind of the story mode and league play and street play. So you get to play in the NBA. And the whole idea is you get to play in the NBA, but you also get to bring it to the street, which is kind of a different play of playing it, a different way of playing it, and kind of the stats carry over there. And then they had their big finish. They went into Star Wars Battlefront 2. John Boyega, the dude that plays Finn, actually came out and talked a little bit. He's going to be in the game. They introduced story mode. They said that they were going to appeal to kind of the mistakes and what people were asking them to do. And it looks like every bit of this presentation was kind of like this is what you wanted, this is what you're getting, kind of thing. They went on for 30 minutes there, and they said that the content, let's see, 3 times the content of the first game, and they're gonna have couch co-op in this particular one, and that pretty much wrapped up the EA conference. I think that based on their history, it's been a lot better. I mean, they still got a lot of work to do, but this is the second year they do this EA Play thing where they have their own kind of thing, and when it goes on for 3 days, people get to play their games. It feels like they're appealing more to the fans and to the customers at this point, and it's less about kind of like the business. I still am kind of worried when I buy EA products, because I feel like, when's it coming? When are you gonna stick me for the rope-a-dope here? But that was EA in a nutshell. All right, so that was on Saturday. On Sunday, Xbox conference started. That was at E3. That was the first show to kind of start the festivities, if I may say. And man, I actually had to see this thing twice. There's so much content in this conference. So it opens up. Phil comes out. He talks about the specs of the Scorpio. He also announces the name Xbox One X, as we know now, and that it's going to launch 11/07/17. He chose not to discuss price at that point, and that's kind of left for the later of the show. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Right after that, Forza 7 is announced. That's actually coming out October 3rd of this year. I guess they like announcing new cars when they do these things. This time it was the Porsche 911 GT2, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously the game looks great. It's running 4K native, 60 frames per second. The thing looks bad as a motherfucker. So I'm a big car guy. I'm gonna enjoy this game when it comes out. The thing is this press conference enough to sway me to purchase the One X? So as we get on through this here, I'll give you my thoughts at the very end of this thing. Phil comes back out. He announces there's going to be 42 games announced at this thing, 22 of which are exclusive. I felt like it was important to kind of list these off here. I kind of wanted to hold them to that 42 count. So, man, right after that, Metro Exodus coming 2018. This game, I wasn't a big fan of the first ones. I respect them. I know that they have a big following, or a cult following, if you want to call it that, but it's too scary for me, man. I don't play a lot of scary games, but I will tell you one thing, man. This thing looked, I don't know if it was probably the best looking game of this conference, or close to it. It was pretty damn epic. So make sure you guys check out that trailer. Right after that, they actually announced or unveiled the first gameplay of Assassin's Creed Origins after 3 years. This time is in Egypt. The game looks really, really good. I've been a fan since the original one. Obviously, I'm on the boat with most people. The second Assassin's Creed was the best, in my opinion. But they're kind of bringing it back here. I don't know. I guess I have to play the game to see how much has changed. But it looks, other than the fact that it looks beautiful, of course, graphically, it looks like an Assassin's Creed game. And I am interested to get my hands on it and see how it is different, other than the aesthetics, obviously. So that's coming out in October, I believe. Maybe they announced it on the Ubisoft show there, but I believe it's coming out in October of this year. After that, they announced PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. That's coming late 2017. It's a launch exclusive. The way they worded this is exclusive console and PC exclusive, launch exclusive. So who knows how long these things are going to be exclusive, but it's exclusive for a certain time nonetheless. Let's see what else here. So we had another launch exclusive, Deck Rock Galactic. Let's see. Then we had, of course, a true exclusive, The State of Decay 2. That's coming out spring of 2018. Like I said, I'm not big into these horror type games. I was a big fan of the original one. I enjoyed it for a bit. It kind of gives me that kind of Left 4 Dead vibe as far as the ambiance is concerned. It seems to be a big thing with these zombie games. You'd think they die off by now, but there seems to be a good following for these. Obviously, they wouldn't be coming out if there wasn't. So we had that. Then after that, they did another launch exclusive, which is the Darwin Project. This is a shoutcaster came out on stage and kind of announced what was going on the screen as it was happening. It's this. It looks like a online multiplayer where you can kind of kill each other through different means, and it was pretty rad. It's hard to kind of say what it is. You got to check that trailer out. That's one of the ones that I kind of found kind of cool. The Darwin Project, that was that. After that, they came out on stage with some Minecraft news. They announced a super duper graphics pack that's coming out summer 2017. That's basically a 4K upres of what the game looks like. It actually looks pretty good. You'd think, like, you know, it's blocks is Minecraft. What does 4K and Minecraft have to do? But it's definitely cool. It's nice to look at. It's fully welcomed. They also said it was going to be cross-play across all platforms, and actually after this show, Sony confirmed that they're not on that list. I'll get into that in another show, but it looks like they're not wanting to cross-play. Switch, Xbox, PC appears to be able to cross-play. However, PlayStation's not participating in that. Right after that, Phil Spencer came out on stage and he talked about his trip to Japan a little bit. I guess they're trying to appeal to the Japanese audience, and they did it pretty good. Dragon Ball Z is called Dragon Ball Fighter Z. That's coming out early 2018. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z. I've seen all the episodes, all the movies, so I'm definitely interested in this. I play all of them. Will it be enough to purchase the One X? We'll see, but it definitely looks good, and it's a Dragon Ball Z game, so I've got to have it. Next up, there was a cool MMORPG called Black Desert. We did a first look. That's also a launch exclusive coming to early 2018. It looks kind of like it looks like almost like they're trying to combat Final Fantasy 14, and it looks pretty cool. If that's what they're going for, it looks very similar to it, but it looks pretty badass. It's almost like, you know, RPG meets Dark Souls-y kind of vibe. Very cool graphics. So I'm excited for that one. And then right after that, they did another launch exclusive, The Last Night. Right after that, they did another launch exclusive, The Artful Escape. We don't know when that's coming. They said when it's damn ready. But I did notice that it had different types of mechanics. It was platformer / music kind of rhythm game. So looks pretty cool. Right after that, Code Vein. That's in 2018. That also looked pretty dark and cool. They did an extended demo right after that, Sea of Thieves, and they also said it's coming early 2018, so it's the first time we see the launch date there. Then another launch exclusive, Tacoma. Most people know what that is. That's coming August 2nd. Another console exclusive, Super Lucky's Tale. That's coming out November 7th with the launch of the One X. It reminded me a lot of a kind of Sonic. The little dude looked like Tails a little bit. So we had that one. Cuphead finally got a release date. That's coming out September 29th. It was a very short trailer. Most people know what Cuphead is at this point and has seen enough gameplay. They just want the game to come out already. Oh, right after that, they announced a true exclusive, which is Crackdown 3. That's also coming out with the launch of the One X, and they had Terry Crew voice over the main character. Man, this game looks so dope. I was a big fan of the first and this second. You kind of get cracked out on Crackdown, I like to call it. Kind of collecting these little orbs and stuff throughout the world. So I'm definitely stoked for that one. And then they kind of ran down. It was, I think it was like 19 or 20 games that they kind of rattled off through the Idea Xbox program. Right after that, they did another launch exclusive called Athen. Square Enix. Right after that, with Life is Strange, it's called Before the Story. It looks like a prequel to the first game, so a lot of people were excited at this. The first one was a big hit, and they were kind of aching to get another one. Here we go. It's coming out August 31st for that one. Shadow of War right after that. It's a play anywhere title, so you're going to be able to play it between PC and Xbox One. That's coming out on October 10th. They did an extensive demo kind of showing the Nemesis system and the improvements that they've done. Those of you that played at this point understand that it's basically a Lord of the Rings skin over, what is it, Batman Arkham game. So very, very cool. That game actually looks pretty dope. Right after that, we got a really nice surprise. It looks like the sequel to Ori. It's called Ori and the Wild of the Wisps. Man, the art style and the music. This dude came out playing the piano. It was pretty cool to kind of play music over the trailer, so that was dope. Then Phil Spencer came out on stage again. He announced backwards compatibility with the original Xbox, specifically Crimson Skies. That's coming out later this year, so that's pretty dope, man. I like that they're kind of doing this fan service thing. They're making it so you can play all your games in one console, which is pretty cool. It's not, in comparison to Nintendo, for example, where if you're gonna play the game, it usually dies on that console. So it's pretty cool that they're doing that, and I definitely appreciate it. That's maybe one of the reasons that I will buy the One X just to have everything in one place. After that, they had he also announced 4K enhancements. I think it was something like 30 titles. He also mentioned Gears of War 4, Minecraft, and a lot of the first parties are gonna have that 4K increase. And then finally, he threw the bomb, which is the $499 price of the Xbox One. I kind of feel like they're making the same mistake over again. I understand this is a very powerful console, and he's been selling it as a premium console, but you know, at the end of the day, it's going to come down in the store. And if you want to just compare apples to apples, you know, PlayStation Pro versus Xbox One X, you know, so you're going to see it on the shelf. One's going to be $399, one's going to be $499. I feel like it's what happened, you know, back in when they announced this thing initially. And it's just going to get priced out. It's just going to get priced out. I'm worried that that's what happened. I hope it doesn't, because I feel like it's kind of cool what they're doing. But I think they kind of missed it there. They should have at least priced this thing to $399. So I'm a little disappointed with the price, but we'll see how it goes. And then right after that, EA BioWare Anthem demo. Man, this game looks so dope. It's super hype. It looks super cool. It's kind of like this game where you're like, I wouldn't call it a mech suit. It's more like like an Iron Man suit. So they hop into this thing, but it's BioWare, so you know there's story there. So it feels almost like a Destiny competitor in some ways. I don't know. They haven't confirmed that. Like, it's gonna be online only, but there's definitely story there. It was something that was missing from Destiny. It brings the whole mech aspect to the game, which is pretty cool with the suits. So I'm very, very stoked for that. So that was the Xbox conference in a nutshell. I mean, to rate it, I don't know where to rate this thing. I'm definitely stoked for the future of Xbox after watching this. I actually saw this twice just to kind of see what I might have missed, and to make sure I let you guys know exactly what I saw in this thing. But it looks pretty exciting. There's a lot of games. Is there anything that's going to convince the people to buy this Xbox One X? I don't know. But I mean, you don't have to buy that. You can always go with the S if you're looking for price points. So at least they have a lot of games coming. It's definitely the conference that announced the most games. I don't know if it's the most important games, but it's definitely the most games. So it's nice to know that they got a future with the games here, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be out of the race anytime soon. All right, so we're going to jump into a little bit of the Bethesda conference here. They did a good job. It was very short, very clean, and to the point. They announced a few things here, so we'll go over it here. So this was a late conference here in the East Coast. It went on at midnight. In the West Coast, it's at 9, so I stayed up for it to make sure I didn't miss out. But I was like, oh my god, am I gonna fall asleep on this? I did not, man. This thing was pretty hype. So first up, they announced 2 VR titles coming to, well, I guess VR everywhere. Didn't specify, but VR Doom and VR Fallout. So it's gonna appeal to the masses. I don't know how Doom's gonna do in VR. People are probably gonna throw up after playing that game in VR, but it's cool that they're doing it. It's a completely different experience than anything that's out there. They also have VR Fallout, as mentioned. Those are both coming out this year. We'll see how they do. I feel like VR has hit I don't know. I don't know how it's going to do in gaming. Hopefully these games will help bring it out of the slumber and sell a few more of these things. After that, they announced Morrowind Online as an expansion to the Elder Scrolls Online. It looks pretty dope. Again, not my game, but it looks pretty cool. They talked a little bit about the mods and something called Creation Club that's coming in 2017, basically bringing more mods. Specifically, they mentioned Skyrim and Fallout 4. So it looks like for those that enjoy modifying the game on console, they're going to have a lot of fun doing that. Right after that, they talked a little about Legends card game. That is Heroes of Skyrim. That's coming out on June 29th, so very soon from the time they announced it. That's something pretty cool that they did here. Everything that's on this list is coming out this year, 2017, so they're not bullshitting you. Everything's coming out. So if you're excited about it, you have your hands on it pretty soon. So right after that, they got into Skyrim for Switch. They confirmed that there's going to be some Zelda exclusive items. You're going to be able to tap your amiibo to it, and it's going to be able to bring in some Zelda. They showed it was like a chest. A Link got on the boat. They showed him from the rear. I don't know how his face kind of looks, because it looks like an older person. But right after that, they announced the Dishonored DLC that's to come on September 15, 2017. Then they got into Quake Champions. That's on August 26th. Is a Quake Championship. They didn't announce the actual date or release date for the game, but they mentioned everything's this year, so I would imagine it's some point of this year. The beta is out. You can register for that according to them. Then they got into a pretty lengthy demo with The Evil Within 2. That's coming out October 13th, Friday the 13th. That game actually looks, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not too much into horror games, but for those who are, this looks pretty dope. It looks like a pretty cool story and pretty freaky too. And then they topped off the show with Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. That game looks pretty gangster, man. I gotta admit. It looks pretty damn gangster. I did enjoy the first one. It's, nobody does single player first person shooters anymore, at least not lengthy ones like the original Wolfenstein. So if they do more of that, I'm definitely in. That's coming out October 27, 2017. So if I had to rate this conference, I say they freaking killed it, man. They as far as the presentation goes, I would say that this thing is up there. It was probably the best. It's not the games that I'm most excited about, but it was definitely the best presentation. They killed it. If others should follow suit. The fact that these games are coming out this year, they went announcement to announcement. They did it in this kind of cool Disney-ish, theme park-ish kind of way. So it's pretty creative, and I enjoyed it thoroughly watching this show. And that was it for the Bethesda show, guys. Next up, we're gonna talk a little bit about Ubisoft. All right, so that was on Sunday night. On Monday morning, or Monday at 4 o'clock here at Eastern, Ubisoft went live, and they opened up the show with Mario Cross Rabbids. So we found out, we didn't really know what this game was, but we found out it is like an XCOM Disgaea type. Maybe not as deep as Disgaea or XCOM, but definitely in that vein. It's a tactical, which is pretty cool, man. I would have never imagined that Mario would be in a tactics game, so it's pretty dope. Are the rabbits annoying? Yes. Will it annoy you out of buying this game? I don't know. I like it. I like tactical games, so we'll see. That's out of August 29th, so that's pretty soon. They got into Assassin's Creed Origins. They didn't really show much. They basically said watch another video so you can watch the gameplay. That's coming out October 27th this year. Then they got into The Crew 2. That's on early 2018. I mean, the game looks dope. It looks pretty. I don't know if it's gonna do well. I don't know how well the first one did. I think it was a little bit overhyped. I like cars. It looks freaking beautiful. So will that be enough to bring me over? We'll see. Right after that, they went into South Park, The Fractured Butthole. The Fractured Butthole, and that's coming out October 17, 2017. Will they stick to that date? I don't know. We'll see, but I think they will. I think they will stick to it this time. What is this? The third or fourth time they put a date on this thing. So then they got into the Elijah Wood game. It's actually a horror game. It's called Transference. That's spring 2018. I don't know much about it, but like I said, I'm not into horror games much. They got into this game called Skull and Bones right after that. It's basically the naval portion of the Assassin's Creed. Fans were clamoring for more Assassin's Creed naval combat, so they're bringing it in its own game. That's fall 2018. Then they did a little Just Dance 2018. That was a short kind of dance off that they did there on stage. That's the regular Ubi there. Then they got into South Park mobile game, so it's called Phone Destroyer. That's coming out this year as well. Mobile game for South Park. It's South Park. It's funny. It cracks me up. I'll play it. Why not? Then after that, they got into Starlink Battle for Atlas. That's a title that's coming to Switch, so that's pretty cool. Basically a outer space ship game. Really cool graphics. I mean, they just show a little bit of the gameplay. I don't know much about it, but that's for fall 2018, and it's coming to the Switch, so I appreciate the support for the Switch. Then they got into Steep. They're bringing out some DLC. It's called Road to the Olympics. That's coming out December 5th of this year. They came after that with Far Cry 5. That game looks freaking dope, man. I'm a big fan of the Far Cry series, so I'm definitely stoked for that one. And then they topped off the show with Beyond Good and Evil 2. But, I mean, the cinematic trailer was freaking fantastic, man. The guy came out on stage. He was kind of tearing up. I guess they've been working on this thing for a while, and it's been a long time since the last one. And they didn't put a date on it. They want people to go online, sign up for some sort of help the dev kind of program. So we'll see how long that takes. Maybe that game's a few years out, but at least it's nice to know that it really exists. It looks pretty dope. If I had to rate Ubisoft, it was definitely one of the better ones. Definitely on this list, the Mario game looks good, Assassin's Creed looks good, South Park, of course, the hype is there. Skull and Bones, I don't know, Just Dance, but it was pretty good, and they topped it off pretty good. Far Cry 5 is probably the game that I'm most stoked about there. And that was Ubisoft in a nutshell. All right, guys, we're moving on. We are going to talk about the Sony conference. That was later on that day. It was 9 o'clock here Eastern. So let's see here. So Sony, the past couple years, has kind of delivered these conferences. They've been topping each other off, one on top of the other. So they had a lot to follow up with here. So they deliver. Let's see. The first thing they opened up with was the Uncharted DLC, The Lost Legacy. I didn't see a date on there, but I assume it's coming this year. Then we have the Horizon DLC. That is for sure coming in 2017. It's called The Frozen Wilds. Then they went into a lengthy demo with Days Gone. This demo definitely changed my mind about the game. I'm definitely more excited. It looks cool. It wasn't just like this kind of like technical demo. It was more of, hey, this is what you're playing. So it looks kind of cool. I didn't see a date on that. I believe it was 2018. I'm not sure if they put a date on that. If they did, I missed it. Monster Hunter Worlds, they showed off, which is pretty cool. This is more cartoony look, and they made it this hyper realistic kind of look. So I definitely I played the originals, never really got into it, but bring it to PlayStation 4, I'm in for it. Then they surprised everybody. Shadow of the Colossus. Damn, that game looks beautiful, man. I'm definitely stoked for that. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. They said that the story demo's available right now. That's set to launch 9/19, so September 19th. And then they went into a little bit of COD World War II or WW2. That's coming out November 3rd. And then they had this VR reel. They went to Skyrim VR, Star Child, The Impatient, Final Fantasy VR. That's set for September 17th. Bravo Team and Moss, which was like a little mouse game. It's kind of cool looking. I'm not big on VR, unfortunately. I suffer from vertigo, so I can't use these things. But it's definitely cool that they're bringing these experiences and they're not leaving this behind, kind of like they did the Vita. So right after that, they got into the God of War. Man, this freaking trailer looks so cool. The graphics are phenomenal. The story between his dad or his son and him kind of brings some grounded, almost like a more grounded feeling. He's not just like this screaming maniac all the time in the game. So I played him in the past basically just for the action of it, and I think for the first time I'm excited to play a story of God of War. That's set to come out early 2018. Then they went into Detroit Become Human. There's no date on that. It looks amazing. I mean, David Cage knows how to make some interesting story plots. So I'm definitely stoked to play that. I don't know when it's coming out though. Of course, they showed off Destiny 2. That is gonna come with exclusive content. You're gonna have exclusive strike gear, weapons, PvP map. So more of the same thing. It's almost, I was never excited about the first one. I'm a big fan of Bungie. I love what they do. The mechanics of the game are fantastic. But I think they kind of missed the mark with the first one. I don't know if they're going to bring me in with this one. I kind of missed the boat on the original Destiny, but I'm definitely intrigued by it. And then they finished off the show with the game that I'm most excited for out of this E3, and it's got to be Spider-Man. Set to come out in 2018. They put a lengthy demo. It looks phenomenal. Insomniac is a freaking badass developer. The game looks fantastic. It plays fantastic. It's the Spider-Man game that we've been waiting for. The game that I feel we as fans deserved. Activision over the years has tried to put out some of these games and they haven't been very good. Growing up, my favorite superhero was Spider-Man, so I'm definitely stoked for this game. That's probably why I'm so stoked for it. But for sure, if I had to rate the conference, I would say that it was definitely above average. I wouldn't say it was better than last year because last year they dropped some bombs. But between the show and some of the stuff that they announced before the show, for instance, in October we're getting Cooney, a game that I'm enjoying. I don't know why they didn't put it in the show, but I'm definitely stoked for that. But Sony, they did a good job. Overall, I feel like the vibe of this E3 is good. It's very, very good overall. Nothing crazy, but very, very good. So let's get into Nintendo. Nintendo actually surprised me a bit. It was very short. It was about 20-25 minutes through their direct, indirect directs, or whatever they like to call them. Nintendo, they opened up the show with Xenoblade Chronicles. I thought this game was being delayed. It turns out it's coming out holiday 2017. So I'm excited about that. If it looks a lot like a more Japanese RPG-ish looking Zelda or version of Zelda. So if it's anything like Zelda, I'm definitely in. I love the RPGs. They surprised me with the next one, which is a Kirby platformer. It's set to come out in 2018. I did see some 4-player co-op there, so I didn't expect another Kirby game, but here it is. We're getting it. They talked a little bit about Pokken Tournament right after that, and they also mentioned that the Pokemon company Game Freaks is working on a core Pokemon game for the Switch. They did say there's more than a year away, so we'll yet to see what it is. Is it going to be in vein of 3DS Pokemon games? I don't know, but it's definitely, I think at that point, once the Pokemon comes over to the Switch, I think they're going to sell like hotcakes. I really do. People love Pokemon, and it's a smart move on Nintendo's part. Right after that, they just put a logo of Metroid Prime 4. They said it's in development for the Switch. So for the people who have been begging and asking for a Metroid game, it looks like they heard you guys loud and clear, and they're definitely working on it. So right after that, they announced a Yoshi game. Again, surprising, similar to Kirby. I didn't expect the Kirby game. I didn't expect the Yoshi game, but here it is. We're getting that in 2018 as well. Then they reiterated on Fire Emblem Warriors, which is like your Dynasty Warriors type game with a Fire Emblem skin that's coming out fall of this year, 2017. They talked a little bit more about what was already mentioned on the Bethesda conference, which is, yes, Skyrim is coming for the Switch this year. Going to have some exclusive Zelda items like the Master Sword is going to begin that they mentioned. Holiday 2017. They got into the DLC pack 1 and 2 of Breath of the Wild. Didn't really reveal too much. They did mention 4 new amiibos for the 4 champions in the game. For those who haven't played, I don't want to kind of ruin that, but there are 4 new amiibos coming there. They show more of the Mario vs. Rabbids games that we saw at the Ubisoft conference. Again, it's a tactics-based game, and that's coming out August 29, 2017. They did confirm for holiday 2017, Rocket League is coming to the Switch. That's pretty exciting. Play Rocket League on the go with crossplay, they mentioned. So it looks like Xbox is open to it, Switch is open to it. PlayStation, again, is the holdout here. They're not doing the crossplay feature, but it is going to have some exclusive Nintendo content in the game. And then they finished off the show with Mario Odyssey, and they finally gave it a date, and it's October 27, 2017. I feel confident that they're going to hit that date. I think they did overall concentrate on delivering experiences that people are looking for in the Switch. Xenoblade, there's your RPG. Kirby and Yoshi, they're your platformers. Pokken, there's your fighter. They revealed Metroid Prime 4 and a new Pokemon game. Those are going to be huge hits, I believe. And then you have your every console needs to have a Dynasty Warriors type game. So there it is. The tactics game that's coming out pretty soon, man. August 29th for Mario vs. Rabbids, Rocket League, and Mario Odyssey. I think overall it was a very strong, compact conference, and they did a good job. I'm glad that I bought the Switch, and I'm very excited that this is going to have, there's a lot of good things coming this year for it, and they were not left out in the dust like in the past with the other Nintendo consoles, at least in the first year, right? So it looks pretty dope. All right, guys, thank you guys so much for listening in. Remember, guys, I'm going to have all these things in the show notes, but make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you did listen to this, you will on the podcast. You can also view it on YouTube. Make sure you guys check out the website, miamiletsplay.com. Join in on the forums, join the community, make sure you guys contribute, and you guys can stay in the know on everything that I'm doing. Again, guys, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. Until next time, guys, game on.